And we're live. Welcome back to the Moment Makers podcast.
What's up, guys? How's it going? It's good to be back.
We've got a special episode today. We still want to plug the website. We're just a few days away from the launch. This episode will probably come out on Thursday, so we're just 2 or 3 days away from the website being launched. Again, we will probably have that giveaway going until the 29th, just a day before, or we'll go till the 30th.
Yeah.
So Thursday's the last day that you can, or today would be the last day if this is released on the 30th. Today's the last day that you can share that to be entered in. We'll pick the winner on Friday. Again, you can be entered in to win a free T-shirt through the podcast here. If you leave a comment and a review, 5-star review, you'll be in the running for a free T-shirt through the podcast. So be sure to do that. There's hasn't been anyone that's done it. So if you are the first and only one, then you get a free shirt. So we'll be running that every month till the end of this year and then probably into next year. But we've got a special episode. Eli's got something he wants to talk about today. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, man. So today is gonna be a little bit of a shorter one. But I just wanted to kind of share my experience that I've had with I guess you would say healing. So I've shared my story previously on other episodes, and some people who have already listened in kind of know the gist of my history. But just to kind of recap real fast, is just like I've been struggling with like depression and anxiety, and here recently it's been a lot better. Definitely because I've gotten professional help, discovered different ways of self-healing and self-soothing, and I just wanted to share another, I guess you could say, chapter in that journey. As of recently, I got a tattoo on my chest, and for those who don't know, I have struggled with self-harm, so I do have some scarring on my chest, and it was an amazing experience. I would want to say it was a bit of a battle, to say the least, because for people that have not struggled with self-harm, there is a misconception that self-harm is a form of an attempt to get attention per se, and then also for others, they just say like, oh, it's like self-pity or whatever. But what they don't understand is that in those moments of self-harm, a lot of it is just like an escape, or for others it's like a form of punishment to yourself because of low self-esteem or something of the sort. But different reasons for it to occur, and the aftermath is a constant reminder of those dark times. So for me personally, I was experiencing a little bit of grief every now and then, a little bit of disappointment, because I'm into fitness, and just as much as you are, Brennan, and to want to be able to post like updated pictures of my progress, and to show my transformation and everything. It was a little bit of a struggle for me because obviously, part of taking progress pictures, you got to show your body. So for me, it was a bit of a struggle because I didn't want people to worry about me or question what was going on with my chest. And inevitably, it always happens, whether I go to the beach with my friends or something, or I'm wearing a tank top and like a little bit of a scarring shows. Like, people will always ask, and for the first little bit of time, I just try to avoid it. I used to lie and say like it was an accident or something. But as of more recently, I found power in being honest and just letting them know, like, it was a tough time, it was a dark time, but giving myself a little bit of value and building myself up and saying that, but I've overcome it. So it's like battle scars that I was able to, have a victory over. So after dealing with that for roughly like 6 years or something like that, I decided that I wanted to continue my tattoo journey, and part of that was covering my chest. So on my chest, I have a bear head with two roses, and it does cover up my scarring completely. The reason why I chose a bear is just because I love the imagery of it, but then also for me personally, a bear represents perseverance. As they go throughout their seasons and during the summers, they're really trying to work hard to get food so they can survive the winter and to go through hibernation because through hibernation, they're not doing any type of activity. They're living off of their fats. So they're basically living off of their reserves. So for me, it translated into me finding my inner strength and living off of my reserves of my strengths and then being able to persevere so that I can enjoy the fruits of my labor in the summer. Um, so I just wanted it to, instead of just being a constant reminder of a dark time, I wanted to be a constant reminder of my perseverance and my strength to overcome those dark times of my depression. So I wanted to basically just share that everybody has their own process of healing, and through mine, I felt a new sense of freedom and relief from it, and it's definitely built me up during the
Well, I think
process. Yeah, go
that
ahead.
also kind of goes on what we talked about in the last episode too.
Yeah,
Like that, and I'm not like that's failure is a broad term, and it can mean a lot of things, and it can mean different things to different people. And failure being a teacher of success, I'm not insinuating that what you've experienced was failure because it's made you who you are.
yeah,
I said the same thing about my wife going through school, um, deciding that's not what she wanted to do. To a lot of people, that would seem like a failure. But for your instance in your life, it was a moment that changed you.
yeah,
You've pushed through that, you've grown from that, and you've used that quote unquote failure as a tool for success. You've used it as a tool of who you are, and kind of the empathy that you have for other people. And through this outlet, we're trying to create a conversation so more people can see it not as a weakness but as a strength. It's not something to be put on a pedestal either, but it's not something to be looked at in the lens of, oh, that's bad. That's you're different for doing that. It's something that a lot of people deal with, and
yeah,
it's why we're creating this outlet, is to have a conversation about it so that it removes that weird icky feeling from it, so that you can have an honest conversation about it, so that you can share your story and other people can feel a little bit more like, oh, that person's like me. And you've
yeah,
used it as a tool to better yourself and further your future, and you've kind of closed the door on that part in your life by covering up the scars. And I think that's a very important thing to note, is that you're not looking at it as something that you have to be reminded of, because you are closing the door on that chapter in your life, and you're opening the door on the new a new set of chapters for the rest of your future.
yeah, exactly. It's like we discussed on our previous episode. It's like having a moment, going through the process of, the emotional reaction, but then, what are you gonna do next? And that was my step. And something I want to add to that is just that when I started seeing the positivity out of the circumstance was actually when I met people that were affected in a similar manner, and I've kind of built a connection with those people. I've had people, see my scars, and then like later on in the day, they may like pull me aside or something, and they told me like some of their struggles, and it in a different way ended up becoming a different avenue to connect with somebody and to be able to help them. It's like through my dark times, through my experiences, I was able to connect with somebody and help them through theirs. And that I would say that was kind of like the first step of finding a hope and a positivity out of the situation because, like I said before, for a long time I was feeling very self-conscious about it. Um, but then finding strength and purpose through it, and that was
Yeah.
like a huge relief and realization once I did come into interaction with people in that same manner. And I just wanted to like add to the whole thing, like the whole experience of getting tattooed um, on my chest was like kind of surreal. Like it was a little bit of positive and negative, and the only reason why I say negative is because like the feeling of the pain was bringing a little bit of flashbacks, but then the constant reminder of the positivity that was to come afterwards is what kind of kept pushing me. I still have another session. Right now, I just did the outlines. And on a side note, if anybody's gonna get their chest tattooed, it is no joke. So prepare. I always tell people that tattoos are beautiful and a great way of self-expression, and totally worth the pain. So if you want to get a tattoo, don't be scared. Get a tattoo. Live your life. Have any form of self-expression that you desire. And I want to say, like in that battle, it was like it was honestly putting my strength to the test because between the pain and then the mental flashbacks and the emotional baggage that was with it, being able to be able to focus on my goal of having this closure, reminding myself that I've had the strength thus far to overcome it and to keep pushing, and I've gotten this far. And then also even having my girlfriend next to me to remind me that I have support has all come together into like one big, I would say one big source of strength for me to be able to get through it. And because it was really awkward. I'm not gonna lie. When I was getting my chest piece designed and all that, I had to take my shirt off. And like literally, the first thing that my buddy asked me was like, "Yo, what happened to your chest?" And then like it was one of those awkward situations. You gotta sit there quiet and be like, well. But then I reminded myself, it's okay. Everybody's gone through their struggles and everybody has their own story. So I was very honest with him. I was like, dude, I was going through a dark time, but it was something that I was able to overcome. And then it's like, and this is why I want to get tattooed because I want to be a reminder that I overcame it, not a reminder that I went through it. And just from sharing that with him, like I had a lot of respect for me, and like he shared his story with me. And again, it was just a quick reminder right before the process that uh, even through my dark times, it could help somebody else, and then I can connect with other people. So I guess to kind of briefly kind of go over um, this whole process is just that like I've met people that have went through issues with self-harm, have had the scars, and have really struggled afterwards because, of course, they don't want to do it ever again, but then they're still reminded over and over and over just because of scarring. And I wanted to share my story to basically just remind them that whether you cover up your scars or you don't cover up your scars, you're a stronger person because you're still here today. And you can use your hard times and your experiences to potentially impact somebody else's life, and you can create a purpose from that. And if you feel like you're having a hard time and you really can't really overcome this feeling of guilt or sorrow, um, maybe talking to somebody professionally would definitely help, or talking to somebody that is extremely close to you, because it all starts with building yourself up, building your self-worth, and building your self-esteem, because that's where the root of it really lies, through depression, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-identity. And the sooner you can really address those topics is going to help you get to the first steps of healing a lot faster as well. And I wanted to also add in there, as far as getting tattooed over scarring. I thought the whole time that it was gonna hurt like crazy, but actually it doesn't. It's actually pretty easy. Like there's not a whole lot of pain with it. It was actually more so around the nip area that doesn't have any scarring. That's what hurt out of this world. So anybody getting tattooed on the chest, fair warning, the nip area sucks so bad. But if anybody is thinking about covering up their scars, obviously I'm not a doctor. It may depend on the severity of the scarring and any nerve damage or anything. It may not hurt as bad as you think. So for those that are on the fence about getting their scars tattooed and covering it up for good and having the next chapter open up, I encourage you to go ahead and do it. It's to say the least, like the amount of relief that I feel right now is amazing. Like I actually feel a lot more like myself. Like I'm not. I feel like I'm well past that event. Like I feel like I don't have to constantly give myself a pep talk all the time. Like it feels awesome. And then to have people wanting to like see my tattoo and like they're not even worried about the scoring at all. Like they're just looking at my tattoo and that's awesome. Like it's huge relief. And I just wanted to like let people know there is hope. Whether you have scarring or you don't, whatever the case may be, there is healing, there is hope, and there are plenty of steps that you can do to really get past it. I've heard people find like different creams that could help reduce the scarring. I've had people embrace their scarring, like full on 100%. And that's a whole level of strength that's like on a whole nother level. Um, and for me, I only covered mine up, like I said, because I just didn't like the reminder. But then also, I'm like hugely addicted to tattoos. I'm not gonna lie, it's my dirty pleasure. Um, yeah. So if you guys want to follow my journey personally, my Instagram is Journey of Eli. I'm doing all my fitness journeys, my tattoo journeys. If you want to follow my apprenticeship, that's Journey of Eli, but with periods in between. So journey.of.eli.
And I've put
Um,
a link to your Instagram and my Instagram, as well as a Facebook for Sparrow and Instagram, on the Moment Makers podcast page on the Spero Cloth site. So
yeah.
when that launches, you'll have an easier way to get to that if you can't get to it by word of mouth, because it is a little hard to a little hard to find.
Yeah. But definitely I want to just encourage everybody, like even in the hard times, there's always hope. Uh if there's any kind of like worry about covering it up or worrying about what other people think, don't worry about it. Just worry about how you feel. If you feel like covering it up will help you heal better, do it. If you feel like you want to face it head on and you want to keep it and then use it as a tool or use it to create a purpose for your life, then do that. You know, whatever works for you. You know, I want one thing I want to say is like I've noticed even personally, I've had so many people share their opinions on what I should do. I've had people really kind of like shove their agenda in my face and it's like really annoying. And for those of you that are trying to help people that are struggling, don't do that. Just encourage them to do what they feel is best for themselves because when somebody like myself or somebody that's in my position, it's very controlling. It feels like you're being controlled, you're being judged, and like even though it may be coming from a good place and you have great intentions, it just doesn't really work that way. Like we already have enough anxiety and pressure on ourselves, and we already have a lot of issues judging ourselves. So like to feel like somebody is coming into our lives and then telling us what to do, and then basically trying to fix our issues, it feels like we're more so of a problem and a burden rather than a person. So if you want to help, just support the person in their process and just if anything, challenge them to look within themselves to figure out what they need to do for themselves instead of trying to offer a solution. Because what you're doing is that you're encouraging some more self-soothing and problem solving on their own end instead of trying to push your own solutions. So instead, you're actually doing both, encouraging to them to self-reflect, but then you're also encouraging them to develop that skill to self-soothe in their own way and allow them to be their own person. Um, is like what did you have any experiences, Brendan, where like somebody really was trying to like pressure you into doing something, or like even though they're having like the greatest of intentions, is kind of like counterproductive?
Yeah, so what I'm so I've never had an experience with cutting or any of those type of emotional emotional habits, or however you want to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I keep coming back to is like how we were talking in our last episode about people on Instagram showing you the best version of themselves, right? So comparing yourself to those people, and then us being me, kind of being in the fitness sphere. I'm very heavy into like bodybuilding and that style of training. And I follow a couple of people on YouTube and podcasting and those fields of content. What I keep going back to is I was not severely overweight, but I was really overweight for my height and age. I lost about 60 pounds in a year. And I remember distinctly before I had lost all the weight, I was wearing a cutoff shirt that showed my like handle area, and I had scarring on my like the side of my stomach, and I had no idea what it was. I was like maybe 17 or so. So I had no idea what it was, but they were stretch marks. And
Mhm.
it was never something that I really thought about. And it doesn't bother me now, but it was something in the moment where I didn't know what it was. And the people I was with noticed it and they kind of called it out and through it with the best intentions. I had friends that really did have my best intentions in mind, but the the route that they took was more of withholding um, like food and things instead of more of a positive influence. Again, they had the best intentions and they're some of my best friends in the world. Um, but the to kind of equate what you're talking about is kind of a similar thing, and I'm not comparing the two because they're totally different things, but my kind of crutch was eating. I would eat
Yeah.
emotionally. And there for about a year, I had a lot of things that happened in my life where um, I wasn't happy, so I would overeat. I gained probably, I moved to West Virginia in 2014. I don't even remember when it was, but over the course of like a year and a half, I gained probably 50 pounds. Um,
Yeah, I remember that.
and then I moved back to Virginia Beach and decided something clicked in my brain that said, what are you doing? Um, so I stopped overeating. I found the right diet for me. I started going to the gym and I felt great, but I still had scarring.
Mm.
And it was something that I did. I tried like sugar scrubs and coffee scrubs and all that kind of stuff. And then I got to a point where I was just like, I don't care about this. People on Instagram, they can Photoshop, they can do all this stuff where it makes them look the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
You have to get to a place in your mind where you decide that you're done comparing yourself to other people. And that's kind of my version of what you're talking about. And I'm not planning on getting any tattoos or anything over top of them. Because I don't want tattoos on my stomach.
I
It
don't
would
know,
probably hurt
bro.
really bad.
It's painful, bro.
Yeah.
My chest piece goes onto my stomach a little bit, and that was murder.
Yeah. So, but I do plan on getting tattoos, and I know that body modifications can help a person feel more confident. And of course, like getting into the gym and getting back into the swing of doing those kinds of things is definitely a better route to take than self mutilation or taking pills or however you're coping with what you're dealing with. There are better ways.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to talk about is to tell you where we've been. I haven't really been on that side of stuff, but I know plenty of people that have, and I can tell you that there's a better way.
Yeah,
There,
exactly.
there's a way that helps build you up instead of tearing yourself down. So that's what the goal of this podcast and the movement that we're trying to make with the moment makers is to show you that your life is a process. It's not a project. You're not going to be done in a year or two. It's going to be a continuous thing that you're going to have to shape and mold yourself into the person you want to be over the course of your life.
Yeah.
And you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows and it's going to be great and it's going to be terrible at times. But the important thing is to recognize where you are to
Yeah.
figure out if you're happy or not, and then to move past that, whatever route you have to take. If you're not happy, put things in place to make yourself happier. But
Mm,
there's always a better way from where you are to where you want to be. And that doesn't include self-mutilation.
exactly. It's like building a foundation of finding your own happiness. And that's why with this podcast we encourage finding what brings peace to your life, what brings even the simplest of happiness. Like Brennan said, working out. If it's body modification, like I love getting tattoos. It's one of my passions. It's what I do for a living. um, Finding that passion that brings happiness to your life and using that as your foundation to help keep you grounded and reminding yourself of who you are, what makes you happy, and in those dark times, referring back to that foundation, and then just going from there and taking the steps necessary. And coming from a professional field, I am going to continue to be a huge advocate to find professional help if needed. It doesn't have to be to the extent of getting a psychologist and getting prescribed medications, but if you are diagnosed with um, some type of chemical imbalance or hormonal imbalance, I do recommend talking to a psychologist. But at the very minimum, if you feel like you need to get some professional help, talk to a therapist. Get your thoughts out, help the get that help so that they can help organize your thoughts and to see everything in an objective manner rather than just purely in an emotional manner, because an emotional perspective is very limiting. It'll create tunnel vision, and it could actually be very self-conflicting and self-damaging, and you want to be able to grow. So to be able to overcome something, you have to look at it objectively, and then from that point forward, you create the objectives to take those steps forward to move out of that situation or that mentality. So I just want to reiterate, if you need it, get professional help. Uh, Huge advocate. I personally been through it. Works wonders. And you can learn a lot of different methods to self-soothe and to grow personally and get to a point where you may not even need professional help anymore. There's no shame in getting professional help to help yourself. At the end of the day, it's your life, and you should be able to enjoy it to the fullest. And don't let anybody's opinion sway your thoughts away from that. And I guess to kind of close it out, I just want to continue to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Moment Maker's Life. I came up with an idea, Brennan, which I want to shoot to you real quick. Is with the launch coming up, I thought it'd be really cool for those that are wearing this stuff. Like I personally, of course, you and I, Brennan, we're gonna be posting our own stuff on there. I'm thinking of also creating a theme with some of the posts, and like some of the posts showing different ways of self-soothing, like working out, like so like wearing our merch and then going to the gym and working out, or like I'll wear the merch while I'm at the shop and getting tattooed or tattooing, just to show both different avenues of self-soothing, and you're building yourself up, and then also showing the awesome stuff that we have online.
Yeah, for
What's your
sure. So
thoughts?
so with Sparrow, the idea behind it is to be kind of a all for one um, kind of brand. The my background in design and where I'm from the beach, and a lot of the culture there is beach brands like O'Neill and Ruka and Visla. And that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, my designs and my style of designing. That being said, the goal is to be a lifestyle brand
Yeah.
with the clothing. So it can be, if you're a lifter, that it can be your gym shirt. That I can tell you from going to the gym in these shirts, they're super comfortable to wear. If you go surfing every weekend, then it can be your shirt that you wear walking out to the shore and put your wetsuit on. Throw it down on the ground. They're super comfortable shirts, and they're really made for whatever moments you want to make. And that's why I've kind of went with that tagline of makers of the moment.
Yeah.
Is because it's not supposed to be just a mission brand. You know, we that's our goal is to spread hope, and that's the name of the company is Sparrow. The way it's spelled is hope in Latin, and that's always been the driving focus. But it's also a lifestyle brand. You know, we did that intentionally to market to as many people as we can so that you not only like our clothes, but you like our mission. So that if you support the clothing, you support the podcast, you should support the community we're building, you're supporting the charities that we're donating to through the process of all of this.
Yep.
And that's the ultimate goal is to spread the communication or the conversation of mental health, to remove the stigma attached to it where it's an icky thing to talk about and think about, but make it a thing that's a normal part of everyday life. And that's our goal through the designs that we've chosen for this launch and for the drops that we're going to have every 3 months moving forward. You know, we handpick everything to be something that you'd wear not only because it's a mission brand, but because it's something you want to wear, because it's something that you want to put on, go to the gym, that you want to go hang out with friends, you want to go to the coffee shop down the road, whatever it is, it's a shirt that you're happy to put on, not only because it's a comfortable shirt, but because there's a mission attached to it too. So
Mm.
that's our goal with it is to be kind of an all-in-one brand that speaks for all walks of life. It's a lifestyle brand. So I'm totally on board with that's the goal is to people that buy our stuff. We're gonna boost you on our page. We're gonna repost your pictures. We're gonna tag you in anything we post of yours because we're about the community. We wanna show you the lifestyle of a moment maker, and that's literally anything that you do. If you're sitting at home watching Netflix in our shirts, that's a moment maker because you're making your moment right there and there. You know,
Yep.
that's self care. So it's not there's no recipe to it for everyone has their own self care routine. And we can go into what mine is and what Eli's is in a later podcast. But yeah, I'm totally on board with promoting what we do and what our listeners do on a daily basis for self care. So
Yeah. So guys, be on the lookout for the drop. I've been looking at some of the shirts myself because I'm gonna snag some. They actually look pretty sweet. I have like five already in mind. I wanna get and definitely gonna be snapping some pictures because I got some sick ideas so we can post on the page. You guys gonna be seeing the views of Chicago, but then also see me make my own moments over here in the crazy city in Chirac. But definitely, guys, it'll be awesome. You guys continue to support us, and we'll be able to support you. You get some awesome merch, and then get to see everybody's journey, and we all come together as one community, and we can make a big wave and actually spread this word, show the support, and bring awareness, guys.
and remember to use code podcast10 when you order to save 10% on your purchase. That's
Heck
gonna do it for
yeah.
this episode. So we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, guys. Stay positive and keep making your moments.